Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk. I was just hoping we could start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Senate.
Sure, about myself, State Representative Josh Turek. I represent Council Bluffs in Carter Lake at the State House, as I have for the last 3 years. I was born out here in my hometown of Council Bluffs, Iowa. Was born to a large working class family. I was born with a condition called spina bifida. I had my first surgery at 1 day old, had 21 surgeries by the age of 12. Thankfully, got exposed to wheelchair basketball at around 12 years old and really that just fundamentally changed my life. I was able to play well enough that I got a college scholarship to play at Southwest Minnesota State University, along with the help of vocational rehabilitation. From there, went on to play professionally around the world, and probably my one of my greatest accomplishments is being able to represent the United States in 4 Paralympic Games. I won 2 gold medals throughout my adult life as well. For more than 10 years, I've been a director of a nonprofit organization where we provide free summer camps to disabled kids to adapt to sports, just because of the huge impact that it made on my life. And also, adaptive equipment can be very expensive and a huge barrier to entry. And in the for-profit arena as well, I was working, assessing and providing wheelchairs and mobility devices. I was working specifically with patients with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and muscular dystrophy, children and newly injured individuals. And that was to be a role model to them to show that they could still have success in life, even though they were disabled. And it was in doing that job that every single day we were inundated with denial and delay rates from Iowa's privatized Medicaid system and the impacts that that was making on individuals with disabilities in this state. And I thought that the 1 in 5 Iowans with a disability deserved a seat at the table and a voice because of all the barriers to employment and certainly to healthcare. That's why I ran. I ran out here in what is the reddest district that is represented by a Democrat. I went out in every single day, went and crawled stairs and knocked doors, dragging my wheelchair up to have conversations with every single person. Didn't matter, Republican, Independent, Democrat, and ended up winning my first election, outperforming the top of the ticket by 13 points, won by just 6 votes. And we turned around in what was an even worse year in a county that Trump won by 20 points and in a city that Trump won by 11 points in Carter Lake by even more. We turned around and won by nearly 6%. And I'm very proud of that. And I have been the ranking member on HHS budget this last session, both on policy. When I joined the legislature, I said to Jennifer Conference, I don't care where you put me, but I demand that I'm on HHS budget and policy because our state Medicaid system is fundamentally underfunded and broken, and it's affecting the most vulnerable in our society.
Mhm. Running for Senate, I mean, you're going to be in the legislative session next year. The budget committees are going to be meeting, and the sort of intense time in the legislative session is right when a primary for Senate would be heating up. How do you feel like you're going to be able to balance those roles?
Well, I think I'm uniquely prepared for adverse situations. Like I said, I say that I am uniquely qualified for this, and that I have undergone an enormous amount of adversity early in my life with the economic side and certainly on the healthcare side. When you come through those kind of adverse situations, it creates a really strong a mental strength and a character that I think can't be broken, that I think prepares me well for this, as well as high level sports. It teaches you just to put in the time, do the work, have the discipline, and not be concerned about the external noise. And I think that that's also something that is going to be of a huge benefit and value to me. But look, I'm not someone that's afraid of hard work. From what I've been able to do on the basketball side of things, where no one outworked me every single day, I shot 1,000 shots, lifting the weights, doing everything that was required, like really a monastic lifestyle to be able to actually achieve those goals. And it was the same way out here. I went out every single day in both of these election cycles. Again, in the reddest part of the state that is represented by a Democrat, I went out every day, every single day, and crawled stairs and knocked doors. I'm not afraid of the hard work. And so, yeah, certainly there's going to be some challenges of the legislative session and also doing this, and also the challenge of being someone that's disabled and being able to get out there and talk to every single corner of rural Iowa, which was certainly not accessible. But I'm up for that challenge.
Yeah, what can you talk a little bit about your thought process in deciding to run for Senate federal office rather than staying in the state legislature and trying to influence policy at the state level?
I am doing this. I mean, firstly, I'm doing this in the most patriotic sense. It is, I deeply love my country and I deeply love Iowa. Went around the world, came back home to my community because I love Iowa. And Iowans are struggling in a very real way. And I understand that maybe in a way that most don't, having gone through what I went through on the economic and the healthcare side. And we are seeing representatives like Joni Ernst that are going out there and defunding and eroding all of these social safety nets and supports that made me successful in my life. And that can be from Voc Rehab, that can be from the AEAs, free summer lunch programs, which is something that I experienced as a kid, eroding all of these issues. And just to make tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations. And we need to get back to having someone here in Iowa that is representing all Iowans, that is going to fight for the middle class, fight for kitchen table issues, and that understands these issues and fighting for the most vulnerable. You know, I'm someone that maybe uniquely understands the power and the influence of what a senator from Iowa can do. It is only because of the work of the great Tom Harkin and his work on the American with Disabilities Act that I am sitting here right now, because otherwise I would not have had the economic, the educational, or the occupational opportunities to even succeed in my life. So I understand what that is. And Iowans deserve to get back to having someone like Senator Harkin, my political hero, a true populist, someone that is going to go out there, fight for all Iowans, fight for the most vulnerable, fight for social and economic justice in a very real way. And not as Joni Ernst have. She's not fighting for Iowans. She's out there fighting for DC lobbyists, DC donors, and large corporations. That's why I'm doing this, because Iowans deserve to have a senator that is going to fight for the people.
Have you talked? There have been a few other permanently disabled people who served in the U.S. Senate. Have you had a chance to meet any of them or talk with them? I don't know if in the past you were ever able to meet, for instance, Senator Inouye or Senator Dole or
No,
Senator Duckworth now.
yes, Senator Duckworth, I have met with several times, and you're right. There have been several members, and that is great because unfortunately for the 1 in 5 Iowans, or 15% at minimum of the population, truthfully, the disabled population is one of the most underrepresented of any minority group, and truthfully that's at the local level, that's at the state house level. Again, one of the reasons why I ran at the state house level and at the federal level, and that is due to a barrier of entry, or even like my logistical challenge of going out there every single day, crawling the stairs and knocking the doors. That's not someone with a higher level of injury would even be able to do. But
Mhm.
this is something that, along with representing all Iowans, that has been, it's been one of the things that has given me the most pride in this role at the Iowa State House is now we've got a ramp in there into the House chamber. The House is more accessible. It's given me a lot of pride to see kids to come in there, veterans, disabled people. It's the people's house. It should be open to all people. And again, to be able to give a voice to these issues to the disabled population at the state level has been a point of huge, huge pride for me. I want to be able to do that and not only represent the 3.1 million Iowans, but to be able to do that at a vehicle like the United States Senate, because frankly, there is no better vehicle to implement societal change than the United States Senate. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm running.
And you already touched on some of the issues that are going to be central to your campaign, but are there any other issues that you didn't already mention that you're going to be highlighting?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be running on a common sense kitchen table populist message that's going to be driving down costs, that's going to be raising the minimum wage, a livable wage, affordable housing, affordable healthcare, and accessible healthcare. And that's going to be more and more meaningful, especially as we're looking at cuts to rural hospitals and all the people that are going to be throwing off our Medicaid system that I've already told you is in this
Mhm.
state in particular is already underfunded. We're going to be talking a lot about affordable pharmaceuticals. I'm going to talk a lot about clean air, clean water. We've got a water crisis in this state that needs to be addressed. That's something that affects us all, regardless of the political spectrum. I'm going to be talking about Iowa's growing cancer rate and the reason why that is taking place. That's something that has touched me personally. My grandma had died of pancreatic cancer. My dad had stage 4 throat cancer. I just found out 2 weeks ago my sister has breast cancer.
Mm.
These are the issues we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about supporting our public schools, infrastructure, family farms, small businesses. It's going to be just like Senator Harkin, prairie populism. That's what I'm going to run on, and that's how we're going to win in this state.
Can I ask you just, I want to drill down on one area of Medicaid in the state of Iowa because the HHS department was going to be changing the waivers for the home and community-based services, and it seems like they're behind schedule. I've been told that they're still planning to do that change from the seven specific type waivers. Do you have any thoughts on that, or what are you hearing about where that project is going, and how do you think that project is going?
You are correct. This is delayed. This is actually one of again one of the reasons why I've run. If you want to look at, we're talking about $700 billion in cuts to Medicaid in a state like Iowa. Our Medicaid system is already fundamentally broken. You're talking about the HCBS waivers. We've got 22,000 Iowans, disabled Iowans that are on these waivers. The longest wait list right now is intellectual disabilities. This is a 6.5 year wait for healthcare. We can all recognize that that is just fundamentally and immorally wrong. But it goes even beyond that. We've got 31 skilled nursing facilities and nursing homes that we've closed due to lack of reimbursement. The average direct care worker, we've got a direct care worker crisis in our healthcare in the state. $13.30. Half of them are on Medicaid themselves. You can't find a provider for oral care in this state. And that's for kids, even. That's for adults. That's for individuals with disabilities. It's on and on and on that this thing is broken. And now we're going to make even more cuts to that. And again, Senator Ernst, I went up there to DC and I talked to every single one of our delegates about the incredible negative impacts that this was going to have, and also on the cuts to the P&A grants. 140 disability organizations are looking at losing funding, some of which is as much as 100% of their funding. It is a system that's broken, and we need someone that's going to fight for the people, not like Senator Ernst, looking at cuts to healthcare and food assistance just to make cuts to the billionaires. Enough of
Are
that.
you, were those grant cuts, is that part of the reconciliation bill, or do you mean just as
Right.
part of the
That's
overall?
correct.
Okay. And were
Reconcil
you able to meet with the whole delegation, like the members of the US House as well?
Nearly everyone.
Okay.
I met with either themselves or their chief of staffs. I went through page by page on every single disability organization, what percentage their funding they were going to end up losing. They all said, and I met with Joni face to face and talked to her about the impacts on the big beautiful bill and all the on the reconciliation bill. Oh yes,
Mhm.
we want to protect those with disability. This is one of the reasons as well that I'm getting into this. Of we need someone who's going to stand up for the people of Iowa that understands and empathize with a real genuine way that I just don't think that most people do. They don't fundamentally understand Medicaid. One of the big misconceptions that the majority party and people like Joni Ernst have pushed is that people on Medicaid are just lazy. And oh, as long as they would just get out there and work. No, there are individuals with disabilities that through no fault of their own, even if they have advanced degrees, law degrees, doctorates, are forced to be on Medicaid because the only way that they can get the services that are needed. And that can be things like a direct care worker. This is why we have to, and again, in a state like Iowa, already underfunded and already dramatically, essentially not even functioning. You go talk to any disabled person in the state and their family, and they will tell you the same. It's gotten dramatically worse since we've privatized it.
Were you able to meet with Ashley Hinson?
Not directly.
Okay, all right. Just wondering because she's obviously considered a likely candidate for Senate if Senator Ernst doesn't run for a third term.
I,
So
I,
just
I have, I
curious.
have, I have been up to speak with our Iowa delegation several times about various issues relating to healthcare, Medicaid, disability related issues, raising income, asset limits. I have a work without worry. We have the same exact issue at the
Mhm.
federal level. And unfortunately, I've never had the ability to meet with Representative Hinson face to face.
That's too bad. What would be your pitch to there? You're entering a race with five candidates. I don't know if all five will stay in, but let's say three or four candidates. What's your pitch to Democrats who say, I like all these candidates, and why should they vote for you in the primary?
I like a lot of these candidates too. I think that there's an enormous amount of value in us getting out there. Honestly, here's the reality. This is going to make each one of us sharper and better. We don't want to be going into this election untested. I think that this is going to bring an enormous amount of media attention to this race, which I think is going to be positive and good for the brand. We're going to have every single one of us going out there and traveling to every single nook and corner of the state, which is going to be vitally important, getting back to these small rural communities that Democrats have not either ignored or not done particularly well in. This is going to be good, and this is going to raise the tide for everyone because, again, you look at Trump's last midterm here. We won the first, we won the second, we won the third. You look at what Rob Sand is out there doing, well organized, well funded. We've got it. I think that Iowa has absolutely the chance to be the center of the political universe in 2026, and we can win these races, including the Senate race. The distinction with me, I think, is I've already talked about. I've got a unique story. I'm someone, again, it's the totality, it's the story, it's the background, it's the resume, it's representing my country, winning gold medals, practicing what I've preached in the for-profit, the nonprofit arena, getting out there and winning in the reddest part of the state. Again, a county that Trump has won by 20 points, winning out here in a city that he's won by. I've got the experience to over and over and over be able to talk to independents, talk to Republicans face to face, where they say, I'm not for that, what I perceive as that kind of Democrat, but I'm for your kind of Democrat. I'm for a genuine, common sense, moderate populist that's going out there and talking about the kitchen table issues. That's how we win in Iowa. Iowa, we've masqueraded as much more red than what we are. At our essence, we are a common sense state, and we can win. And we can win with candidates like myself.
I apologize for my dog being vocal there. I was wondering, can you talk about how are you going to approach a statewide campaign where you obviously can't go and knock on the doors? I mean, in an Iowa House race, you can personally meet a pretty significant percentage of the electorate in your district. Of course, that's impossible to do statewide. So can you talk about how you're going to approach that campaign?
I am going to go out there every single day and through every single form of media like this. I'm going to talk to reporters. We're going to talk on radio. I am going to go to every single community, all 99 counties, have events, have public forums, talk to the independents, Republicans, Democrats. I am going to work as hard as I possibly can. The reality is for me, I know what it's like to do hard things. I've had a life of very hard things and challenges. No one thought that a kid born in the economic situation, born with spina bifida, all the surgeries, would be able to get to this position that I'm at now. No one thought that a guy that would be able to, represent his country and win the gold. That was all done through hard work, determination, and grit. No one thought I'd be able to win out here the first time. Certainly not win the second time by the margin that we were able to do. This is going to be a logistical challenge. And as an individual with a disability and a wheelchair user, I'm not going to lie, with being in a rural state, there are going to be some challenges. But I'm going to be out there every single day working as hard as I can. And I know this from already winning out here in the reddest part of the state, that any candidate, and a candidate like me, a common sense populist that is going to focus on the kitchen table issues, the messaging that I have with the work ethic that I have, I know I have the ability to connect with independents and moderate Republicans, and there is a real push for change. I feel that everywhere I go, there's an energy, even significantly higher than what we had in 2018, where we won 3 of our 4 congressional seats. I see that out here. We've never had the numbers that we've had in Pottawatomie County of these events that we're having. Standing room only. We're seeing that out in the rural communities. I was out in Heartland, standing room only, all across the state. I know we can win this race, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to do it. I know I'm the one to beat Joni Ernst. I'm her kryptonite.
One of the biggest fault lines I perceive for Democrats this year happened in March when there was that government funding bill, the continuing spending resolution. Most of the House and Senate Democrats voted against that bill. There was a smaller group of Senate Democrats who voted for it to prevent the government from shutting down, which they thought would be worse. It looks like we might be heading for another cliffhanger in September. How would you approach that kind of a choice? Do you think it was correct to avoid the government shutdown, or do you think that the Democrats in Congress should have just gone to the mat with Trump on that?
I mean, look, Laura, to be honest with you, at this exact moment in time, what I'm concerned about is Iowa in this race and Iowans and how much they're struggling. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse on this. I will worry about the DC issues when I get there. Right now, there is an enormous amount, and I see it firsthand here out in my community every single day, the people struggling. This is what I'm going to focus on right now. And when I get up to DC, then we'll worry about those kind of challenges.
Okay. Speaking of DC, there's a perception that you are the preferred candidate of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. So, has anyone from the DSCC promised you support or offered you support in a primary campaign?
The reason why I ran was just the conversations that I had out here for a long, long time. I've been having conversations about that. This was not something where I rolled out of bed and decided that I'm going to run for the United States Senate. This was something that I needed to know internally, that I could financially pull it off, that my family, my extended family was going to be good with this, that I could dedicate 100% of the time and energy necessary to be able to pull this off. Yeah, and that the supports were in place. I've had conversations with anyone and everyone over the last 7 months about this issue. Again, this is due to the responsibility of this. It's important to get out there and talk to everyone, because this is the magnitude of that kind of race. But I'm not the DC candidate. Here's the candidate I am. I'm the Iowa candidate. I am the candidate that is going out there and, through hard work and grit and determination, going out there every single day and crawling up the stairs and dragging my wheelchair up there and having tough conversations with Republicans and independents, winning in the reddest part of the district. That is the candidate that I am. I am the hardworking Iowa candidate. And I think that we will see as well, with the amount of supports and endorsements that I'll end up getting from Iowa legislators, people will see I'm not the DC candidate. I am Josh Turek, the from Council Bluffs, blue collar. I am the prairie populist, much like my hero Tom Harkin, and I am the Iowa candidate.
Are you going to be continuing with your other work, either the for-profit or nonprofit, or are you going to be full-time campaigning?
Nonprofit work, I will still continue with. That's really, really important to me. I'm actually, this month, I'm going to go out to Hartford, Connecticut, and do a camp out there. I will not be doing anything else for profit other than this. I'm going to be dedicating every single moment of my day to this, because this is what it demands. Because Iowans deserve to have a senator that's going to be out there working for them.
I think you touched on this a little bit already, but you and I both remember when Iowa was a swing state and now it's more of a red state. Do you have a theory of why that happened and how Democrats can turn that around?
Well, I think we're a state that is masqueraded as far more red than what we actually are. I think post-Trump effect, certainly post-COVID, you've seen that. But I think you can look at 2022 as a great example, where between Rob Sand and Tom Fitzgerald and Tom Miller, you're only looking at 1.5% difference between us having three of our statewide candidates and having one. The margins are actually not that significant. And I think you look at Trump's first midterm, where we won the first, we won the second, we won the third. And I can tell you this, there is significantly more energy and push for change right now, what we're seeing, than even in Trump's midterm. Everywhere I'm going, both in my community, urban areas, rural areas, I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of Republicans, a lot of independents that are saying, I voted for Trump, but I didn't vote for this naked corruption. I didn't vote for all this buyer's remorse. We need change. We need someone that is going to go out there, not like Joni Ernst, that's out there just looking out for DC lobbyists, just looking out for the donor class, for billionaires, for large corporations, but for someone that is going to go out there and fight for Iowa families, fight for the middle class, fight for healthcare, fight for these supports and social safety nets that so many of us rely on. Again, 1 in 5 Iowans on Medicaid, 2 in 5 in the rural communities. That's what I'm going to be doing. That's how I'm going to win this race. Iowans deserve a senator that's going to work for them.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you think would be important for my readers to know, either about you or about your campaign?
No, I trust you that you know me well. You've been covering me for quite some time. So anything you think there would be of value to add in there? Look, I would say this, that maybe if we were to add one other thing, I would say that the way that I have been at the state legislature, I have not been one of these blind, loyal tribalists that has been party over country. I'm someone, and everyone would say this across the aisle, even if they disagree with me on policy. I have been one of the hardest working members. I have been able to actually get things done to the finish line, signed by the governor. And that is because of my work ethic. And that is because I'm willing to go and work with the other party when it is beneficial to my community, to my constituents, to Iowans, on common sense issues. And that's what we want out of our representatives. We want someone that's going to be willing to do the work to get solutions to the problems that Iowans are having. That's who I am, and that's what I stand for.
Can you just give a couple of examples of the issues, that the bills that you worked on in a bipartisan way that got over the finish line?
I've got a few. I'll send you a list because we've got
Okay.
a. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Laura.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
We're
Well,
bumping
thank
into
you
the
so much.
next one,
Thank
but I
you for
will.
taking.
I will send you a list, and certainly you can put that out there. But
All
thank
right.
you for the
Thanks
time.
a
I
lot.
do. I got to run. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.